Hey, what's going on, Who Dat Nation? It is yours truly, TJ Jones, the host of the State of the Saints podcast. Thank you so much for checking out the State of the Saints podcast, where we talk New Orleans Saints. Shouts out to everybody that's filing in right now. I ask that you hit the like button if you enjoy the State of the Saints podcast. If you're new, I ask that you subscribe to the channel, and hopefully, if you have not already, you can go ahead and subscribe by the end of this show. But we're going to be talking about the final thoughts on the Saints' Week 13 loss versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Saints lose 2 straight, and they go into the bye week in heartbreaking fashion. The New Orleans Saints had a 16-3 lead with about 3 and some change left on the clock, and they allowed the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to come back, score 14 unanswered points to win the game by 1. This is one of the darkest days in New Orleans Saints history. This has been absolutely embarrassing this entire season. The reason why I didn't do a show yesterday, because quite frankly, I tell everybody, on top of being a podcaster and a broadcaster, I'm a Saints fan. I was born and raised in New Orleans. I grew up in the 9th Ward area. I went to Lorraine Hansberry Elementary. I went to Charles Joseph Code Middle School. I went to Frederick Douglass for my 9th grade year and graduated from Carver. I even went my freshman year at Dillon University. So I am embedded in New Orleans. I am as certified New Orleans as a bus ticket and a 10-cent transfer. I am about as New Orleans as a Hugh Big Pie. I'm about as New Orleans as we never close. And yesterday, I had to decompress from this whole entire season before I get behind the microphone and tell you all how I feel. I didn't really tell you how I felt on the show right after, because I really didn't say anything at all. And I know some people probably thought to themselves, well, you know, maybe I was doing that for dramatic effect, but I was not. I was a man who got behind a microphone on immediately following the game with absolutely nothing to say. I still, in some ways, don't have much to say except this. If the New Orleans Saints believe that fans are going to come to the Caesars Superdome and watch a Dennis Allen-led football team for the rest of this year and next year, they're wasting their damn time. I'm going to say that again. If the New Orleans Saints organization believes that anybody is going to spend their hard-earned money to come to the Caesars Superdome this year and next year with a Dennis Allen-led football team, you are sadly mistaken. I understand that the New Orleans Saints organization aren't as tough as you see some of these other organizations in New York and in Philadelphia and some of these other places, you know, that demand excellence, even though they haven't done a damn thing. But they demand excellence because of nostalgia purposes. But you got to do what needs to be done. Dennis Allen is not the answer for this football team. Dennis Allen is not a head coach. He is not a head coach. He is a great coordinator. He's a guy, if I was a head coach, I would want him to be my coordinator. But the guy is not a head coach. And you can't put a square peg into a round hole. You cannot make something happen that is not going to happen. The combination of he and Pete Carmichael, two lieutenants collectively, are not the answer. When he can't overthrow a decision because he's worried about how that makes another person feel. That's not the type of guy that I want to have as my head coach. The fact that he gets behind the podium and tells everybody, I'm talking Dennis Allen, that he should have changed the call to a run. For you to say that, that's telling me you have absolutely no spine. No spine whatsoever. This is your football team. Pete Carmichael calling the plays, but at the end of the day, we're talking about you. People have low morale because of you. People feel like this team can't go to the next level because of you. And yet you're still sitting on the sidelines and afraid and putting your hands in your pockets, so to speak, and you don't want to negate a decision that could decide your fate, that can decide your season. It's an absolute embarrassment the way that this team is going. It's an absolute embarrassment the way that this organization is leading us to. I have absolutely no problem with the decisions. I don't. At the beginning of the season, I think we all bought in. I think we all felt that the Saints last year had a really good defense and a really good team, and they just got struck with a little bit of bad luck. I understand all that, right? We get it. But what I don't understand and what I will not understand is when you see the mistakes that are being made and you still try to double down on them. If the Saints organization doubles down on these mistakes, then they are telling us, they're telling the entire New Orleans Saints fan base straight up, like, forget what y'all talking about. This is what we're going to do. We're going to shove this down your throat and you're going to like it. But guess what? I will continue to get behind this microphone. I will continue to get in front of this camera and tell them that they're making mistakes. I will continue to tell you that you don't know what the hell you're doing. And if you continue to do this, then I will. I will be one of those people that be lobbying, not right now, but I will be lobbying for the grounds of Mickey Loomis getting fired. Because you cannot look at this football team and tell me this is the same football team from last year. When it comes to energy, when it comes to swag, when it comes to confidence, you do not see it. I went back and I watched the game, Who Dat Nation. I went back and I watched the game as terrible as it was. And I can tell you right now, when I look at players who had energy like Alvin Kamara, tiptoeing through the hole because he realizes that his offensive line can't block worth a damn. When he is so disinterested, when I'm seeing guys who you rather, catch one-hand snags than catch it with two hands in order for them to be on ESPN Top 10. When I'm watching a 12-year veteran in Mark Ingram step out of bounds, even though I hope that brother's okay because he has a partial MCL and he's out for the season. But when I'm seeing stuff like that, it just tells me everything that I need to know. And when I see stupidity, like when the game is on the line and you're out there with a jumbo set with Kirk Merritt and Adam Prentice and Taysom Hill as your receivers, that tells me everything I need to know. Okay? That tells me everything that I need to know. Dennis Allen needs to go. It's just as simple as that. Dennis Allen needs to go. I mean, honestly, Who Dat Nation? Why are we even getting upset at this particular point? This guy sucks. This team is not good. I was telling my mom this. Shouts out to my mom. I was talking to her on the phone, talking about the game. And I said, this is one of the first times I felt weird. This was one of the first games that I can remember that I had absolutely no emotional attachment, even when it starts to get close. You know, I like when games start to get close when you're a Saints fan and you feel like your heart is starting to race a little bit. You're like, oh, snap, come on, please get a stop. Please get a stop. You start feeling that anxiety. I didn't even feel it. I felt like a human being who was in a loveless relationship. And that person said something to me that should have hurt me, but it didn't. That's how I felt. I felt emotional detachment from this football team. I'm straight, and I'm just wondering why. Because, and then I thought about it. I was like, because I knew what this team is. So I'm just wondering, like, why are we wasting our time getting frustrated at a team that we know is going to continue to let us down? So it's fine. Look, second straight year. It looks like the Saints aren't going to make they're not going to make the playoff for the second straight year. Fine. But what we're not going to do is continue to go down this rabbit hole of ineptitude. I will not subject myself to that. So I will continue to beat the drum. I will continue to talk. I will continue to say the same thing over and over again until this dude is no longer the head coach of the New Orleans Saints. This dude needs to be fired. This coaching staff needs to go. Pete Carmichael needs to go. They both need to get the heck up out of here. It's just that simple. Find you somebody that is going to be a leader of men. Find you somebody that understands situational football. Find you somebody that has the cojones, the huevos, to go for it in crucial situations. There's a stat out here right now about Dennis Allen, about the high percentage of him going for a field goal or selecting to punt on a 4th and 1. Like it's mind-boggling. You know who does stuff like that? Coaches that don't have confidence. Coaches that second guess themselves. Coaches with 8 and 28 records. That's who do that. Not coaches that want to win. Not coaches that want to be a champion. Not a coach that believes in his football team. Because here's the reality. Why should these players believe in you if you don't even believe in them? Tampa Bay is, I can understand last week versus 49ers. They have one of the best run defenses in all of football. But Tampa is not very good. And let me tell you something, folks. If you can't get 1 yard, if you can't get 1 freaking yard, you don't deserve to win. But this is who we are, Who Dat Nation. This is our representation. This man is coaching his team equal to a guy who is covering up in a corner in a fetal position because he thinks that somebody's going to be kicking him. So he curls up in a corner to try to make sure you don't hit him in the face. This is an embarrassment. This is one of the lowest points in New Orleans Saints history. I haven't felt this dejected about a football team in a very long time. And it's a doggone shame because we weren't that long ago talking about this team being a Super Bowl contender. Now we can't even like mention Super Bowl when it comes to this team. They turned this team into an absolute joke. But the thing about it is nobody in the Who Dat Nation is laughing. But let me go ahead and read some of your comments. Not going to be long, folks. I apologize. I look, a little sweaty, man. I've been working around the radio station, cleaning up a little bit. Did want to do a show today, so I do apologize for that. But let me go ahead and read some of your comments. We'll start at Alpha Sports says the Saints seem to score running the no huddle. Todd Bowles said they will use the no huddle more since they had success. You would think DA might say the same. Look, DA is not going to say the same because DA has no spine. I don't care, man. At this particular point, look, I know some people might want to hide what they need to say. I know some people may want to just kind of stretch it because they scared about what the Saints organization might say or what they might do. Look, I got respect for everybody that works within the Saints organization. Some of them have blessed me with interviews, but be on here on the show, but I ain't kissing nobody behind. The fact of the matter is that, the real reason is this dude is a coward. Straight up. He coached cowardly. You got an 8-28 record that and is in the back of your mind. Now you're second guessing yourself. It's the reason why you decide to go with Andy Dalton instead of Jameis Winston. That's the reason why, because because it's less of a risk. It's not the fact that Jameis Winston can't play the quarterback position. It's the fact that you feel like he probably has more chances of making mistakes than Andy Dalton do. So I'd rather go with a short thing. Right? It's like investing your money in Coca-Cola or something, right? Coca-Cola has been around since the 1800s. It's not going anywhere. But there's this new vibrant cola that's probably going to be taking over. And all of a sudden, nah, I can't do that. I'm not sure about that. And then about 15 years later, that's the biggest thing since Coca-Cola. But you won't know it until you take a risk. Dennis Allen is the guy to me in the early 2000s that was like, Google, what's that, man? I don't know about that, man. How much it is? $10 a share? Nah, I don't know about that. I don't know about that. I don't think I want to invest $10 in that. That's the type of guy that Dennis Allen is to me. A guy that doesn't want to take a risk. So all these different plays, we need to do this. I seen it work for Kansas City. I seen it work for the Rams. Look, we wasting our time. This dude is a coward, okay? Let's go ahead and run the halfback dives and the halfback stretches and the Taysom Hill QB power, all game long, and let's see where we at. And hopefully, we might score 16 points and other team might score 13. We not winning no more games, maybe one at best. I hope so. I'm serious. I hope so, because maybe that's what it's going to have to take. Look, I ain't lying. I ain't gonna sugarcoat to y'all. I'm not. Maybe that's what it takes in order to get this dude up out of here. So if that's what it has to be done, it is what it is. And the only difference is between me and somebody else is I'm willing to say it. This team is that bad. That's how I want this dude out of here. Whatever it takes. Whatever it takes. I mean, shouts out to the team. They could have quit. They could have folded in. They could have phoned it in. They could have. But they didn't. Okay. And the sad thing about it is they were trying hard. They were trying hard, and this guy still couldn't help these boys get over the hump. Because when it came down to it, when it was nip and tuck, it was time for situational football. And the sad thing about this is, here's the reality, folks. This man's defense was playing lights out all game long. What did it come down to? It came down to your defense making a stop on Tom Brady, and you couldn't get the job done. So what does that tell you? That tells you have an issue with situational football. It wasn't the fact, it was in the offensive hands. The offense couldn't get a first down, fine. But when it came down to it, your defense had to make a stop. And did your defense make a stop? No, they did not. So what more do you need to see? It was your side of football, your bread and butter, your calling card that couldn't get the job done. And you're the one calling the plays. What more do you need to see? I want this dude up out of here. I don't care how great. Look, I don't care if the Saints have a chance to beat the 85 Bears. I'm willing to sacrifice that to get this dude up out of here. Clean out D.A. Locker, dude, is now 12-39 as a coach. 98%, I bet. Chris says the guy on the Boot Tragedy podcast said the same thing. He gonna keep pushing the narrative until Dennis Allen is gone. Look, I'm on. It's not even at this time, Chris. It's not even a narrative. It's a formality. That's what it should be. Yeah, this dude needs to go, man. Like, seriously, this dude needs to go. Like, bruh, there's no way. There is, like, don't get it twisted, folks. I get it. Shouts out to Gail Benson. She walks out there. She uses the little, golf cart during training camp. She waves like she, like the queen, the queen of England and stuff like that. She carries herself with a little bit of style and grace and all that. But at the end of the day, these owners care about money. They care about people spending money at concessions for Saints gear, for Saints stuff, for tickets, for season tickets. I'm telling you right now, there is no way that people are going to be spending their money, their hard-earned money, to go and buy season tickets or to buy tickets for a Dennis Allen-led football team. It is not happening. Like, seriously. Like, you can double down on that and you can say, we have complete faith in Dennis Allen. We believe in him. It was just a little bit of bad luck, injuries here and all that kind of stuff there. Bruh, miss me with that. We seen this team with everybody. We seen this team with half of a roster. We seen this team with little to no roster. We got opportunity to see this at the beginning of the year. Everybody that we was like, well, he ain't here, he ain't playing. We seen all this, and the Saints still had to muster up ways to get victories against the Atlanta Falcons. We seen them boys with all hands on deck. They still lost to Tampa. We seen them with all hands on deck, and they still lost to Carolina. So miss me with that stuff about, oh, Dennis Allen can get it done if he have a full roster. That wasn't it. Then all of a sudden, oh, you went through a little bit of hardship and you still was losing. And then all of a sudden you start to get guys back and you still was losing. So what more do you need to see? What more do you need to see? You can look, you cannot fool me. Okay. You cannot fool me. Maybe you can fool some of these folks, but you can't fool me. I've seen this team in every situation that they're going to try to prove or say or try to make an excuse for Dennis Allen to come back. I've seen him in all situations. This team didn't look good with a full roster. They didn't look good with a half a roster. They didn't look good with little to no roster. So what do you need to see? Besides the fact that you like Dennis Allen, he's a nice guy. Well, there's a lot of nice guys out here, but that don't mean they need to be head coaches. Simple. Please don't beat me. I've been abused in the past, says the drum. Thank you for the $2. I'm going to scroll down a little bit. Folks. It says the only person that plays with passion is Cam Jordan. I don't want to say that. Cam Jordan plays with passion. Alontae Taylor plays with passion. I see Caden Ellis playing with passion. Pete Warner played with passion. You got some guys out here that's playing with passion, even to a certain extent. I won't say a certain extent. I think Chris Olave playing with passion. You got some guys out here that like it. DeMario Davis. These guys not phoning it in. But at the same time, when I look at guys like Alvin Kamara, people talking about that court case. Nah, that ain't it. Okay. For anybody that ever played football, ever played any organized sports, and your team sucks, it can take a toll on you. When you know for a fact that this guy in front of you is supposed to be your lead blocker, he about to pretty much probably fall on the ground, and he probably about to whiff, and you about to take a crucial hit. That can be very, very frustrating. I've never seen Alvin Kamara tiptoe like that. Now, he does quit on plays from time to time. Like, if you have an opportunity to kind of turn it up, like you'll see him head towards out of bounds. He ain't gonna try to fight for no extra yards, But for the most part, like when it comes to like trying to hit the hole or trying to make somebody miss or trying to break a tackle, he tries. I never seen Alvin Kamara like willingly tries to go down with the first level of contact on a halfback dive or on a stretch play. It just seemed like to me he looked like a guy that's dejected. He looked like a guy that gave up, and maybe he's a guy that feels like maybe he needs to go on the greener pastures. I don't know. Maybe he feel like this team has reached this point, and he's towards he almost 30 years old, and maybe he wants to get a chance to win, and he sees what the Saints are going to be, and maybe that's what it is. But it seemed like to me he ran like he was trying to conserve himself. I mean, go back and watch the game. Tape don't lie. I mean, unless he's about to, and if he comes out later on and says he was dealing with an injury, I know he had a rib injury earlier, then I will apologize for that. But to me, he ran like somebody that quit. So, I mean, I have to question his passion when it comes to that, but I can't get mad at him for knowing that his offensive line ain't going to block for him and he's going to absorb a lot of punishment. I want my ones with DA. That's how frustrated I am. I am ridiculous. Let's see. When they name him as head coach and Pete as OC, I made a comment and people went at me hard. I knew this was going to happen. No, you didn't. Like, let's just be real about this. We all giving our opinion. Now, sometimes we give our opinion and we end up being right, but there's no way in the world you knew that was going to happen. All right. So we just throw things in the air and we just hope that sometimes, they land. I say things all the time and I'll be like, okay, man, it's going to happen. And then I'll be like, oh, yeah, it did. And then it does happen. But we didn't know that for a fact. For the majority of all the people, a lot of people were on board. And the only reason we grandstanding right now because it just seemed like we right in this particular situation. Nobody could have pictured this at all. Nobody could have pictured this. No, like you could have thought like the Saints maybe, we talking about 12-5 and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, but not even being in contention, picking in the top 5, there's no way. I mean, but that was a good guess, though. I give you that. Face reality, we're eliminated straight up. DA hangs on timeouts like they are transferable game to game. Yeah. You know, I said this, though. You know, to be quite honest with you, the biggest play wasn't the whole Mark Ingram play. Y'all want to know what the real big play was? The biggest play to me was the Donovan Smith holding call. Because if you go back, like, think about this. If Donovan Smith didn't hold on that play, Chris Godwin scores a touchdown, and the Saints have 23 seconds left with 3 timeouts. So the Saints would have got the ball back. So honestly, by Donovan Smith holding and them getting pushed back, it gave them opportunity to burn more time off the clock. So if Chris Godwin would have ended up scoring, the Saints probably would have got the ball back if they would have kicked it out of the end zone with 23 seconds left and 3 timeouts. And you had opportunities to get into field goal range to win the football game. So that holding call, even though a holding call can be detrimental to a team, it actually helped the Tampa Bay Buccaneers because it helped them burn more time on the clock, and it only left 3 seconds on the clock versus 23 seconds on the clock versus what it should have been. So if that wouldn't have happened, the Saints would have got the ball back with 3 timeouts. And if they would have gotten to field goal range, who knows what would have happened? I mean, so Donovan Smith, honestly, is the player of the game, even though he made a mistake. It ended up being the best thing to happen to Tampa. I've seen a lot of Saints on the ground this game, too. Let's see, ready for Sean Payton to coach for whoever, and we get some first-round picks. Look, that's what I'm talking about. That's what we need to be focused on. All this stuff about what they need to do. They need to run this. They need to run that. They need to run the veer. Start this dude. Start that dude. It's over, folks. I'm looking forward to next year. Let's try to get Sean Payton back into the league. Hopefully we find a team desperate enough, maybe in the top 10, that we can get their draft pick. That's the only thing I'm caring about at this particular point. I mean, Dennis Allen can coach his little heart out. Yeah, for the rest of the year, get him up out of here. That's all I care about. Getting this dude out of my face. Now, I don't care about anything else except Dennis Allen getting up off that sidelines. And Pete Carmichael can go with him. It's a done deal with Allen. Loomis probably sees it as he didn't get his guy, a quarterback, and give this bum one more. Man, look. I'm telling you right now. You can, man, there's not a, bro, they are not going to convince the Who Dat Nation to invest another year in this dude. It just not happening. The only reason I can see the Saints bringing this dude back is because they know that he probably incompetent. They probably know he probably incompetent, and they probably feel like it probably will be the same situation. But this time, maybe you can actually get the 5th pick in the draft. That's the only way. That's the only way I can see it bring this dude back, because it ain't about winning. It ain't about leading men. Like, what has Dennis Allen done this season for you to be convinced that he's the answer for the foreseeable future? Ready for Sean Payton, the coach. I already read that. Pammy, don't leave us. It isn't easy. Let's see. I will still watch and always support my team, but I have zero expectations for them. I think we all do. Not at least this season we do. You done shook back. You wasn't doing good Monday. Man, it wasn't the fact that I wasn't doing good Monday. It's the fact that I just didn't have anything to say. What more can I say that has not, been said already? Like, why would I, honestly, man, I live a good life. Seriously, I get a chance to talk to you all the time. I got a beautiful wife. I got a healthy, loving son. You know what I'm saying? I got a nice career. Why would I be sitting up here subjecting myself and being angry at something that I already know is pretty much a foregone conclusion that this team isn't good and Dennis Allen stinks? Like, we sitting up here, man, they did. Like, how many times we going to talk about how this dude's scared and how conservative his play calling is, or how he doesn't, how he doesn't really push the envelope, how he really just doesn't show that much emotion, how he just doesn't. I mean, how many times are we going to say this? How many times are we going to talk about how undisciplined this team is, how heartless this team plays at times, how many times are we going to say this? I mean, it's pretty much like people think that I was upset about the loss. No, I wasn't upset about the loss. I mean, the Saints been losing all season. It's just the fact that, you know, it's just pathetic at this point. And it's like, what more do you need to say? Man, for real, I had no emotional attachment to this game at all. It scared me as little attachment that I had. I was wondering if DA disciplined AK-41 for the fumbles and cut his plays. I think he did. I think that's probably what happened, if you look at it, because Mark Ingram was carrying the ball a little bit more than he was. Did you see the video on Twitter of it with a fan calling out Mickey Loomis and telling him it's up to him? DA got to go. Mickey looked like he had the stomach flu. It's bad to be buddies with employees. Angela, yeah, you know, I saw that. You know, I actually posted that on my Twitter page too. Yeah, but I mean, look, this man was out here doing God's work. I mean, it's just that simple. You know, it looked bad. Let's see. Allen 12 and 39, Dalton 6 and 19 on prime time, and 3 and 7 as our starters. They both are losers. Jameis 6 and 3 and carried the team on his back to beat the Buzzards, not Dalton. Look, all I know is at this particular point. It's pointless. Like this whole Jameis Winston, Andy Dalton debate is pointless. Neither one of these guys coming back. If you want to be real, like neither one of them. Not Andy Dalton. I don't think he's coming back. Jameis Winston ain't coming back. So it's pointless at this point. You know, I just want a franchise quarterback. I just want somebody that's going to be able to see the field, make plays, and I want a coach that's going to help him, guide him, and help him to reach his full potential, whoever that may be. None of these guys are going to be the franchise quarterback of the New Orleans Saints. You might maybe get 1 year out of these guys as a bridge guy, but none of these guys are going to be the starting quarterback for this team going forward. I'm not going to be talking about Jameis Winston nor Andy Dalton 5 years from now being a quarterback of the Saints. So for us to be getting upset and mad and still talking about back injuries and still talking about Andy Dalton's decision-making and conservative play, all this stuff is just completely pointless. Both of these boys are going to be having to find new places to play, whether it's going to be next year or the year after that. But neither one of these guys are the franchise quarterbacks. Simple. You know, it's just as simple as that. Yeah, at this point, I just think that we just need a whole overhaul. I'm talking about at the quarterback position and coaching. On to 2023, who stays, who goes, players, I mean. Look, I don't know. Me personally, I want to see Cam Jordan go because I want to see this man at least play for a Super Bowl or at least contend for a championship before he retires. Same thing with Demario Davis. Mark Ingram, he needs to go. The Saints need to get younger at the running back position. David Onyemata, he needs to go. The Saints need to get younger in the interior. Marcus Davenport, he needs to go. The Saints need to get themselves a better pass rush. They need to continue. They need to overhaul this entire defensive line because all they got is a bunch of lengthy, long, 6'6", 6'7" guys that got one move, and that's a bull rush. And if you've been in a weight room for a couple of months, you'll be able to keep them at bay. I don't see no skills. I don't see no spinning. I don't see no quick tick twitch or nothing like that. Right? I don't see none of that stuff. All these guys are just tall and lanky and got long arms, and they just feel like, oh, I can just get past this guy with a square move. Man, bring yourself to the 21st century in modern day NFL when you got guys like TJ Watt and you got some of these smaller guys that out here that's not 6'7" and 290 pounds attacking a quarterback. You got these little small guys that are almost pass rush linebackers that can get past these big burly offensive linemen, and it makes it hell for these guys. And that's one of the main reasons why the Saints struggle. That's the main reason why the Saints struggle. Watching the Saints defensive line in the trenches towards the end of that game was just absolutely pathetic. Like all these boys just got one move, and that's a bull rush, trying to push this dude back in the face. And then you seen Tom Brady just climbing in the pocket. Old Tom Brady, about 55 years old, climbing in the pocket. This defensive line needs an overhaul. The safeties need an overhaul. And they need running back. And you need another wide receiver. Get Jarvis Landry up out of here too. You know, Jarvis Landry, I don't know. I know he probably deal with an ankle or knee injury. but that boy looked slow as molasses out there. Like it looked bad. Like your boy looked like he about 45 out there. You know, like they say he looked like he have a piano on his back. Like it's good, you know, all these Circus Olay catches before the game and pirouettes and all that kind of stuff. That's cool. You know what I'm saying? If you're into social media and watching all that stuff, but you ain't doing nothing right now. Like I can't remember last time Jarvis Landry actually made a play. He just out there. So if we can find ourselves another wide receiver, you know, maybe younger, still got a little bit of spring in their step, get the rest of these little undrafted guys out here that just happy to be there, calling their mom up and see, hey, did you see me on TV? I was running down there on special teams. Like let's try to find some playmakers here, and let's try to find some guys that's grimy. Let's change the way that we're looking at this football team. Let's change the attitude of this football team. Let's get younger. Simple. Let's see. Rich says, TJ, this is what football looks like with betting. Thank you very much for the $2. I guess you're referring to the fact that you feel like the fix is in. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, making boneheaded decisions like that 12 years into your career, I mean, it's going to make people feel like the fix is in. And being a good coach has a lot to do with adjustments to the situation. If you can't make the necessary adjustments, you don't need to be coaching. And Dennis Allen don't have that. Yep. Simple. What kills us was the PI from Paulson Adebo, but didn't have safeties over the top. If Dennis Allen would have been the coach, the man that he needs to be, then this wouldn't have happened. Because the pass and play, the stepping up out of bounds with Mark Ingram, none of that stuff would have happened. Because the first time when Mark Ingram stepped out of bounds, you probably would have seen a coach that have any level of passion, any type of confidence within himself, yelling and screaming to high heaven about, we need to be running the clock. We need to be running the clock. And maybe they won't even be using those type of light words. And there's no way in the world that you would have even been thinking about it going for it in a passing play on 3rd and 1. No way. No way. So it still goes back to coaching. He's been cleaning since week 1. Yeah, we done with this dude. Sean Payton wants that Charger job, even though he'll never admit it. I mean, I don't blame him. That's a good spot to be in. They can win now. They can win now. The decisions the front office making Payton contract with Aspire and we'll get nothing for him. I doubt that. He want to coach. He never wanted to even go to television. Twitter eating DA alive, guys. Yeah, it's probably a good thing that he's not on Twitter. To me, it doesn't matter if we have every player of the team as a first-round pick or a number 1 pick. If DA is coach, it's for nothing. That guy wouldn't know what to do with it. That is true. I was saying this, and people got mad at me. I think it was when I was talking about Will Levis, the quarterback out of Kentucky, and I was talking with Nick Underhill on Twitter, and I was saying, like, I don't care who you have. I said it's about coaching. And if you don't have the right coaches, they're not going to put you in a position to succeed no matter how much talent you got. And people just started getting on me because I was talking about Ronald Curry and, and him being a quarterback's coach and that, and the third. But I'm like, this ain't it. Like he's not getting what he needs to receive from this coaching staff. So he's not going to succeed. He's not. And people are like, man, how you know Ronald Curry is going to be a good coach? Because I know what good coaching is. I'm a product of good coaching, okay? I became a broadcaster, and the broadcaster I am polishing to be because of good coaching. My the general manager who retired has over 40 years of experience in broadcasting, and the guy, that's here alongside with me has almost 40 years himself. So I know what it's like when I first got into broadcasting. I went to a radio station when I was working out in Brandon, Mississippi, and what I learned there was absolutely nothing. It was trash. You know what I'm saying? I didn't learn the ins and outs of radio until I got to South Carolina. And I never grew. I never reached my full potential until I got here. And I was able to learn some of the things that I needed to learn in order to get where I needed to be. So you can have all the talent in the world. But if you don't have anybody that can tap into it and help you elevate it, it's not happening. So I don't care who you have. I absolutely agree with that. I don't care if you come in with Caleb Williams. I don't care if you come in with C.J. Stroud. I don't care if you come in with Hendon Hooker. I don't care who you come in with. Whatever quarterback come in here, if you can't help them reach their full potential, if you don't have the coaching staff, they will never reach it. Thank you, TJ. I'm with you. That's the main focus. I don't care about the woulda, coulda, shoulda with Jameis and all that. It's all about getting DA out of here. Exactly. I just, man, at this point, if you still debating quarterbacks, I don't know what to tell you. None of them gonna be here. Like, I don't know. Like, look, for those that know about communications, I'm pretty sure, just afford me a few minutes to explain this. Life is about semiotics sometimes. Like, sometimes we want people to tell us things point blank, right? And it's just like yesterday, well, the day before, we had a show and we were talking about, we seen somebody say, well, if he didn't say that, then I don't believe it. But sometimes you don't have to do that. Semiotics is the study of signs and symbols. It's the study of signs and symbols, what something means, right? There's not somebody in the middle of the street, in the middle of traffic that's yelling, stop, in order for your car to stop, right? There's a traffic light and it's red and you stop, right? Because that's the indication. That is a sign of stop. And green means go. What I'm saying is, by Jameis Winston being on the sidelines all this time, you got Gayle Benson, you got Mickey Loomis, you got Dennis Lauscher. If they wanted Jameis Winston to play, he would be playing. If they wanted him to be out there, he would be out there. But, and I'm pretty sure there's a conversation that happened behind the scenes, what's going on with Jameis and all this, because by him coming out saying that, of course, you have to look at it from a PR standpoint. You don't want any bad backlash from your organization. And they probably told him. So it's not happening. And then with Andy Dalton, I mean, come on, man, give me a break. It's not happening. The future of the New Orleans Saints is not in the building. I don't care. I like Jameis just as much as everybody else, but we just got to be 100% real, man. You're almost 30 years old, and everybody's talking about these circumstances. Like, oh, his back was hurt, his leg was hurt, and Chris Godwin went this way. Mike Evans went that way. They didn't have a running game. They didn't have an offensive line. He averaged this. He did this in the red zone. At the end of the day, nobody cares. Like, you can put all these different excuses up there, but nobody cares. This is about what you have done. And he hasn't done enough, for us to just be sitting up here and saying, oh, yeah, he's going to be a future. Besides the fact that you like him and he's a very personable guy and he's friendly and his family is friendly, his representation is friendly. I mean, that's basically all you can say. That's not going to save you. If that's the case, then, Dennis Allen is a nice guy for everybody to tell you, but that's not going to get results. What we have right now, I'm sorry, folks, but here's the reality. What we have is a bunch of speculation. If Jameis Winston would have continued to play, then the Saints would have made the playoffs. But guess what? We can't live in an alternative universe. The reality is Jameis Winston is a guy who has a reputation of turning the ball over, who's never made the playoffs, and has been on teams that have not been successful. It's just that simple. And you can bring up as many analytics as you want to. You can bring up as much stuff you want to. Guess what? None of these organizations care. None of them care. Now, you will probably have a couple coaches out there that have the mind frame of Sean Payton. They like to deal with guys that people just feel like or deem unfixable. But as far as I'm concerned, I don't think Jameis Winston will ever get a fair shot for the rest of his career as a true starting quarterback. Like, here's the book. If you fail, then, we still going to work with you. I just think that ship has sailed, folks. It is what it is. All right. We can put everything that we want on it. We can talk about the conspiracy, the black conspiracy, the white man trying to hold a black man down. We can do all these different things you want to. But the reality is this. Well, how people see Jameis Winston in the National Football League is as unfair as it may be. I mean, it's going to cause him to not possibly not get opportunities as a starting quarterback legitimately. Probably, you'll probably get chances like your Bridgewaters or, like your Taylor Heineke's and stuff like that. But as far as the starter, or as far as like him ever having to not look over his shoulders because somebody else can possibly come in and take his job, not happening. Injured Jameis Winston beat AT. Let's see. Dalton doesn't have that. So I'm going to stroll down a little bit more, man. I'm going to go ahead and get up out of here after a few more. Says, I'm not sure of the love affair with Ingram. He's been trashed ever since they re-signed him to the team. Well, look, I just think the love affair comes from the fact that the Saints drafted him back in 2011. And it was an up and down relationship with Mark Ingram. When he first got here, the first couple of years, he didn't live up to that Heisman potential that everybody was talking about. And, all of a sudden, he became a better pass catch out of the backfield and got really, really good over like a 3-4 year span. And people started to respect him. And then, of course, when he left, people were hurt by it. And then when he came back, they welcomed him back with open arms because of what he did. I just think that, Mark Ingram has been a New Orleans Saint the majority of his NFL career. So you have to have like a level of respect for him. But since he's come back, look, Father Time is undefeated. It's undefeated. Like what Mark Ingram thinks about himself is not the player that he is. You should have confidence in yourself, of course, but you may not see yourself as a 32-year-old running back who, on borrowed time. Maybe you still, I hear him all the time say, well, I'm not like most running backs. I always shared the backfield with other running backs throughout my career. So I got more tread on the tires, but you running football enough. You're going to find yourself a tad bit slower. Those instincts going to be a tad bit behind. It's just what it is. So, but I respect his confidence in himself, but he's not that player anymore. The quarterback from Tennessee, Hendon Hooker, should be the starter for the Saints, no Bridge. Yeah, look, if you get the right coach up in there, but if not, I feel bad for the dude. I do. I feel bad for him if they don't get the right coach in here because we're going to be in the same situation and we're going to be talking like this dude ain't got it. When that defensive pass interference happened, I screamed my butt off. I ranted, and after the comeback touchdown, I was quiet. 30 minutes later, I sounded the alarms and ranted some more. Yeah, I was like, I just hunched my shoulder. I'm like, okay, let's go ahead and do this show. Let people talk. Jameis knew he wasn't coming back. That's why he felt so comfortable exposing things in that interview. But I agree. In the end, it don't matter because our coaches can't get anything out of anyone. Yeah, that's my whole point. That's my whole point. Like, I don't care who it is. Honey Badger has been a liability this season. I think he's played pretty good over the last 3 games, but I also think that it's the way that they actually, what they asking him to play. I think it has a lot to do with it too. I don't think he is playing as free as he did at other teams that he was a part of. This roster is probably the best roster in NFL history to not make the playoffs. I'm pretty sure you had some other rosters in the past that probably better. Don't forget, Honey Badger dude is just here to collect the check. So you think he there for a little victory run? Let me go home a little bit. Let me eat a couple hot sauces on French and keep it moving. Our defense really not that good. We need to change our defensive scheme. I think it's good. I just think that sometimes it just goes up against a modern offense that they're not prepared for. What the Saints defense is designed for is mostly like the game that they played against Tampa. They match up really well against teams like that because, you got a quarterback that ain't going to do too much of nothing. He's a statue. So all of our safety play has been a liability. Why we don't blitz no more? You don't want to blitz Tom Brady. You don't want to blitz. Yeah, you don't want to do that. Let's use this 4 games to evaluate everybody. Everybody. That's all you can do at this point. Jarvis Landry down bad for that. Yeah, Jarvis Landry, I don't know if he's hurt or he just slow as molasses now. I don't know. Like I don't know. That he does not look right. Like I was watching him run these routes. I'm like, man, what are you doing? Let's see. Our defense has been decent the last month. Our offense has been a problem all season, inconsistent, not balanced, penalties. Yeah, I mean, defense is good, but you also have to have offensive scheme and offensive plays, and I don't know, maybe some confidence. If you don't have that, you ain't got nothing. Mark Ingram likely out for the rest of the season with a partial MCL tear. Yeah, I seen that. Shouts out to the brother. Hope he all right, you know. TJ, when we going to look at Mickey Loomis? Next year. I'll give him, look, you made a mistake. It was dumb. You know, at the time, everybody was like, okay, man, whatever. But next year, I'm judging him next year. I'm judging him more harshly next year. Because, I mean, this isn't like a reoccurring thing where I've just seen like it just egregious move after egregious move after egregious move. Now, next year, when it comes to Mickey Loomis, my energy going to be a little bit different. Because I just feel like right now, if we're getting mad at Mickey Loomis, like his name really rarely ever comes up when it comes to making mistakes. So I'm not going to put him in this category just yet. We're just doing this because, you know, what we thought happened didn't happen. So when it comes to Dennis Allen, I mean, you have a reputation of sucking as a coach. You know, Mickey Loomis doesn't have a reputation of sucking as a GM. I mean, it's just 1 year of something like his decisions being flagrantly bad. And it is, you know, it's obvious. So next year is when I'm going to be like really critical. This offseason. I think Kamara hurt his leg, kept running out from under him. Well, I don't know. I don't know if he hurt his leg or not, but I can tell you he ran with no passion in his last game. None whatsoever. I mean, I ain't never seen Alvin Kamara like that. Alvin Kamara ran like he had what them F this runs. That's what they call it. Like, forget this. Like, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Hit the ball. All right. You know what I'm saying? No passion, no nothing. Like, okay, I'm about to get hit. You know, so I'm not even going to try. Even like that lateral, like I know it wasn't going to work. But, you know, the lateral goes to him and he's trying to fight upfield. And like, he ain't even trying to fight upfield. He caught the ball or whatever like that. He wasn't even trying to look for nobody behind. He just went down like, man, look, this ain't going to work. Let's get out of here. You know, so that man checked out. Like I'm telling you, go back and watch that game. Go watch his runs and tell me that ain't a man that's dejected or checked out. Okay? I mean, to me, he looked like he checked out. AK was running like his JUCO days. Can't even blame. I can't. I mean, you know the offensive line wasn't going to be able to block for him. And that can be frustrating. Sean and Drew, we took for granted. Now we're seeing DA. And, yeah, I mean, sometimes you can take people for granted. You don't know what you have until it's gone. But at the same time, some people don't ever notice that because organizations do a good job at a good bridge program. Right? They get another quarterback in after the other guy come in, and you still find success. TJ already talked about that. And let's see. Eric Bieniemy should be the Saints head coach, offensive mastermind, and change culture like Sean Payton did. Well, they need to find somebody that's going to change this culture because the culture they got right now is not working. It's just not working. It's absolutely pathetic. But thank you all so much for checking out the State of the Saints podcast. I ask that you hit the like button if you enjoyed the show. 268 people watching this right now. Please hit the like button. Thank you for all those that donated to the show. Shouts out to you. I really appreciate that. Previous episodes available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Anchor FM. Also, Facebook.com. Search The State of the Saints podcast. And you can also check me out on Twitter at TJAY Jones 8. Till next time, all I got to say is, who dat?